Hello. Frank Lloyd Bear and I are back to read you a couple more chapters from The Joyful Bear. And I just wanted you to know that I am doing this for myself as much as for you. I need to read this book periodically. I need to leave it out on the nightstand or somewhere where I'll pick it up and be reminded of the wisdom that Frank Lloyd Bear has shared with us. And there's a lot of other little tidbits of other people's wisdom in there too. I think it's a good way to just cheer yourself up and remind yourself of your place in the world. Chapter 12, Trust. Turn around, Frankie, so I can see your tail. Okay, but you know the rule, he says. I'm not going to touch it, silly bear. I'm just going to write about it. He turns around and moons me, displaying the cutest tail I have ever seen on a bear. It's small and round, placed so that it's just barely visible when he sits. The most important thing about Frankie's tail is his pride of ownership in it. That's right, he says. My tail is very special, and I get to decide who can touch it and who can't. Like Frankie, we all have parts of ourselves that we want to keep special. Frankie knows that I respect him, and that I would never do anything to harm him. The fact that I keep my hands away from his precious tail is one of the ways that I show him that respect. It's a reminder of the respect we owe everyone in our lives. When Frankie reminds me not to mess with his tail, he's reminding me to be respectful of everyone I come in contact with. I am, says Frankie. Wow, I didn't know that. I can't even see my tail. He tries to turn around and see it, but his stuffing gets in the way and he just looks contorted and silly. It's a move he's showed me hundreds of times, always with the same result. Like a dog chasing his tail, Frankie never gets to see his. This might explain why he doesn't want anyone to touch it. How do you protect a part of yourself that you can't see? I know how, he says. You have to trust the people around you. If you surround yourself with the right kind of people, then it's okay to be vulnerable. I guess you trust me then, I ask him. Absolutely, says Frankie. He cuddles next to my side. Touching my tail is like touching my heart. I trust you with my heart. Every day you have a chance to hand your heart, or in Frankie's case, your tail, to people who can damage it. Each time they do, whether or not it's intentional, you add a little bit to your shell, the armor around yourself. This is natural. We all do it to protect ourselves from future pain. What you might not recognize is that the shell you're growing is also holding out the joy. C.S. Lewis wrote, "Love anything, and your heart will be wrung and possibly broken. If you want to make sure of keeping it intact, you must give it to no one, not even an animal. Wrap it carefully round with hobbies and little luxuries. Avoid all entanglements. Lock it up safe in the casket or coffin of your selfishness. But in that casket, safe, dark, motionless, airless, it will change. It will not be broken. It will become unbreakable, impenetrable, irredeemable. To love is to be vulnerable." How do you find the balance between safe, lonely selfishness and exciting, scary love? The solution is healthy boundaries, the borders that each person gets to set around their private thoughts and emotions. Unlike shells, which are brittle, boundaries allow you to get close to people in a healthy way. You can learn more about boundaries through the worldwide 12-step group Codependence Anonymous, or from a licensed therapist or counselor. Like a child who continues to trust, no matter how many times he is rejected or rebuffed, the goal is to go on trusting in life itself. Pir Vilayat Inahat Khan. Chapter 13, Flight. I wish we could include a video in our book, says Frankie. Then everybody could see that I really do fly. Flying is one of Frankie's amazing abilities. When he wants to hug someone on the other side of the room, he flies. Usually he needs some help for takeoff and landing. Yoo-hoo, he says. My dad looks up from across the dining room table where I've been working on my laptop. I am holding Frankie in front of me, and he's trembling excitedly. Dad holds out his arms, and Frankie flies across to him and gives him a big hug. Then he turns around and looks back at me, expectantly. I nod and hold out my arms, and he flies back and gives me another hug. He could do this all day. Flying and hugging go together, says Frankie. I wish people could fly around and give each other hugs like I do. We humans don't need to fly. We have many other means of travel at our disposal. We can simply walk across the room or drive across town to reach our loved ones. The reason you walk or drive is the same reason I fly, says Frankie. To give people the loving they need. How long has it been since you have lain on your back and looked up at the sky on a beautiful day? How long since you noticed white, fluffy clouds or the sight of a bird wheeling and soaring overhead? Clouds and birds inspire us with their airy freedom. So do colorful butterflies, silvery flying fish, and iridescent dragonflies. What fun it would be flitting about, untethered by gravity, earthbound life and responsibilities. We all have the ability to dream, and we can soar in our hearts and minds. Just let go of whatever drags you down, and your spirit will rise like a balloon or a flying bear. What feathered jewel might drop out of the sky next? David Sibley. Coddleston, Coddleston, Coddleston pie. A fly can't bird, but a bird can fly. A. Milne, Winnie the Pooh. That's it for chapters 12 and 13. We hope to see you tomorrow. Thanks for reading The Joyful Bear with us.